Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, talking fishing. If it's facts about fishing that you want to know, then tune in, folks, cause this is the show. We'll show you all the right bait to use, so sit right back, you got nothing to lose. Doesn't really matter if it's trout or carp, flathead, marlin or a gummy shark. Listen to the guys and you can't go wrong. They'll be talking about fishing till the cows come home. Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing.
And welcome everyone to Talking Fishing, a big show coming your way tonight. All the results from the Western Port Angling Club Whiting Challenge that was held on the weekend. 1,680 fish caught. Wow, Western Port is in good shape. Plenty of variety in this week's catches of the week too. A big congratulations to angler Greg Duncan on a cracking 1 kilo plus whiting, but he had to go interstate. Plenty more on the show too. And as always, Adam Ring, welcome. And I tell you what, the Kingies are tough down your way, aren't they? Yeah. Down the Mornington Peninsula?
Yeah, I think the weather's probably more to blame than anything. There still seems to be plenty of fish there, but obviously you don't want to mess around in the rip while the weather isn't playing the game. Still some good fish coming from offshore too, the Phillip Island coastline, all the way through to Barwon Heads, really, but as I said, weather's kept a lot of people off the water this week.
We'll talk more about the Mornington Peninsula, very tough. I know a couple of my fellow directors at the Future Fish Foundation, Michael Buxton and Andy Evans, got out last Thursday and got 4, I think, in the heads, but tough fishing.
Yep.
And as we mentioned last week, Trellia's over at the Chinese Fishing Trade Show this week, and standing in for Trellia's young gun, Kallan Braid-Ball from Tackwell Cranbourne. Welcome, Cal.
How you going, guys? Nice to be on here.
Now,
is that the first time you've ever tucked in your shirt?
Yeah.
I was going to
legit.
I had so many smart lines and you just took it. How good is that? And how long have you been wearing your dad's shirt?
Yes.
Since this morning.
Now, I tell you what, we don't want the girls. I know the girl because you are single. I don't want to mention it too much during the show, Cal. But you know, if the girls are riding to Kramer's mailbag, I know it'll all be about you tonight. So,
what's your Tinder?
Feel free.
And for you people at home, just keep watching the show because you're going to see Cal feature in a lovely commercial later on, and it's pretty good. He's been doing that during the week. So, boys, a different week of fishing this week. I guess weather up and down. I mean, Saturday wasn't too bad. That massive storm front that come through Saturday night, I was down on the Mornington Peninsula.
A few trees down, I noticed on the Sunday.
That was weird.
Well, it was. I mean, that front was just a straight line across Port Phillip Bay.
I saw a photo, I think, that you'd put up on social media, and that looked gnarly.
It looked
gnarly.
Yeah, everyone packed up the campsites, I can tell you, and it was pretty ordinary. And then Sunday, a very, very pleasant day out in the bay.
Yeah, it's crazy what the weather's doing. I think that's that unpredictability and that, I guess, 1 minute it's really good, 1 minute it's terrible, has really affected the fishing. Probably more so for the anglers than the actual fish.
Yeah.
But gee, it makes it hard to plan anything.
When you see there's like a big storm front, I guess, coming through, then you go, oh, I better not go out because it comes through earlier. So it probably makes people a little bit hesitant.
Definitely. It's hard to read at the moment. Very hard to read.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Cal, where's your boat at the moment?
Well,
don't know, that's the scary part.
Yeah, exactly.
I tell you, we might just do an update on this when we talk to Cal next, but his boat has actually gone on the back of Paul Worsling's car and filming an episode of iFish as we speak. And
boatless.
I don't mind telling him. Do you remember what Paul said? He said, I just need a beaten up old tinny that I can smash about. He didn't want to take official iFish boats. And Cal said, I got one of them. And anyway, let's hope it comes back.
He breaks it, he pays for it. So.
Well, you know what?
Yeah,
how about,
good luck.
Yeah. How about write to us on Twitter? Where do you reckon the boat's headed?
Yeah.
Where do you reckon Worsling is taking Callan's boat, where it can be thrown about, just smash all the sticks out of the way to go for a fish? Hit us up on Twitter and
I'll give you all the details because you can keep up to date with our official Facebook page with Catch of the Week, hotspots and all that sort of stuff and much more. Don't forget to like us to make sure you go to the right page. Just go to our website at talkingfishing.com.au and click on the links to Facebook and Twitter. You can join in the conversation tonight by sending your questions and comments on Twitter using the hashtag on your screen now. So, boys, let's have a look at some of the catches of the week. Some great catches from the people watching tonight. And let's have a look at the first one. Greg McDonald, a 6.8 kilo carp.
It's a big
Albert Park Lake. I don't know if we've got that on.
It's getting there, but that's a big carp.
It is a big carp.
Mud marlin.
Sorry, we've got
the mud marlin. Yeah.
We've got a little intro to go to the catch of the week. Here it is.
Here we go.
Catch of the Week. You get to see yourself on TV. Brought to you by Shimano.
And there you go. Let's go and have a look at Greg McDonald's Cup. And I know Carp's not massive, but Greg wrote to us so passionately saying Albert Park Lake, which there's a Grand Prix on there. If you get bored watching the cars go around in a couple of weeks' time, go and catch a fish. Now, fisheries stock golden perch, and they have put trout into there. But look at the size of the carp in Albert Park Lake. And Greg just said, look, he wrote to us, doing the right thing for the environment. They pull like steam trains.
They did great fun on Mikey. Great fun on Mikey.
Yeah. And we just thought, well, let's just throw it into Catch of the Week.
And a great fish for the kids to catch, because though I guess the practice of catch and release you can't teach them with these fish, but they can sit there and poke and prod them and have a look what fish are all about. Really no harm. There's no spikes or teeth or anything like that, so they can sit there and muck around with them on the bank for a bit. Yeah, no, exactly. Let's have a look at number 2. Alan Jones, a 19-kilo gummy out of the Western Channel at Queenscliff. Normally talk about the Western Channel in Western Port, that's right. Or the Western Entrance, but the Western Channel, which heads down towards Geelong from Queenscliff, and that's a cracker gummy. And is it just me, or has the excitement out of catching gummy sharks kind of faded a little bit in the last few years? I remember when I first started working for Tackle World at Cranbourne, gummy sharks were massive. Everyone wanted to catch gummies, but it seems to have taken a bit of a back seat to snapper and kingfish. I don't know whether that was because of a few lean years in catch rates and things like that, but I tell you what, the gummy season this year in particular has been out of control. Yeah, it has been. Yeah, and great to see fish. Gummies like that. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. Number 3, Bill K, I think you pronounce it, a 1.2 metre kingfish from back of Phillip Island, Seal Rocks there, and like we said, plenty of good kingfish coming from that area. Yeah, they're still there. That's a cracker of a fish, 1.2 metres. Yeah. And a lot of people have got to realise with these kingies, it's gone a little bit quiet. It's only just started. Yeah, we're a month early this year on the kingies. None of this happened until March last year. But the quality of fish too has just been phenomenal. He's getting better too. So much more bigger fish being caught the last few weeks too. So yeah. Certainly those coastal areas. I mean, you can probably say the whole of the coastal area, back of the peninsula, right through Phillip Island, anywhere along there. You know, some good fish being caught. A few people, and jigging's hard. I'm old and hurts and still hurting from doing it a couple of weeks ago. We know that. Glad he said it. Hey, you're no longer the youngest person on the show, just point that out. Only for this week. He's nearly got 10 years on you. Only for this week. Young. How old are you, Cal? 19. Oh, the girls will be writing into us. Sweet. They already are. I can hear my phone ringing. But a lot of guys trolling X-Wraps, things like that. Live baits are starting to become. I got a feeling that was on one of those new Samaki deep divers. Which it was, dived to 10 to 15 metres. Yeah, that's and with the light lines we use now with braid and things, you could easily get a little bit more out of that. Yeah. All right, let's keep moving along. Ian and Shane, I tell you what, I think the one on the left, Cal, might have been your ex-girlfriend there. But the boys went out of Mornington late on, I think it was Friday afternoon, and a beautiful colour fish and plenty of calamari out there too. So well done, Ian and Shane. That is remarkable resemblance to your ex-girlfriend on the side there, Cal. Come on, be nice now. Anyway, let's keep rolling through. Graham Spence, a lovely 8.5 kilo snapper from Point Richards, which is sort of around that Port Arlington entrance to Cryo Bay on the left-hand side there. That's a cracker fish for this time of year. That's a big fish. Still plenty of good quality fish coming out of Port Phillip at the moment too. We have had another little run of snap, which we were waiting for. And we're going to talk about water temperature in Port Phillip Bay, which I reckon has a bit to do with how the snapper cycle goes. Very interesting. And lucky last on Catch of the Week this week, Peter Cassidiaris. He's been a good fan of the show and sent in a few photos, but look, that's just a great bag. Calamari, King George whiting and a few leather jackets from the pier. Off the Portsea Pier. Now, calamari have always been big off that pier, but you've got to be pretty good to get the whiting, and that's a very, very good catch. There's some great sized calamari in amongst that as well. Plus King George whiting, wherever you can catch them, you're happy with that. Yep. Portsea Pier, the place to be. If you'd like to send in a pic of your catch of the week, this is what you have to do. If you want to be like me and have your photo on TV, email your fishing pic to info@ifish.com.au. And coming up on Talking Fishing Product of the Week, we take a look at Greg Duncan's Kilo Plus whiting and a nice trout out to Toolondo yesterday, and we have a look at the water temps in Port Phillip Bay right after this.
talking fishing. Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing.
Side ya. And welcome back to Talking Fishing. Now, there's some things that you can do in the water and out of the water that gets the fish biting, and they're just beautiful attractants that some of them have been on the market for a long, long time, but boys, you're just getting yourself ready there, Adam, with all the products of the week. You get all this stuff out of your shopping bag, and he's doing very, very well today. We're well prepared.
Here we go.
But the first one, the old traditional Stimulate spray.
Yeah, this one.
And Kallan, don't use this on any of your first dates, all right? Stimulate.
It's not deodorant.
I reckon you probably use it as deodorant, knowing you, because you've got a few ex-girlfriends.
Yeah, thanks.
Tell us about that. This one, Ads.
Well, there's a few different flavours. When this originally came out, there was a saltwater and a freshwater version. Now I'm pretty sure it's all saltwater. And there's glow-in-the-dark, green, orange, blue, all sorts of different arrangements to it.
Yeah.
But the original red one, which Cal's got in his hand now, that would be your all-rounder. I think probably the most popular for guys with softer baits. I know a lot of whiting guys soak their baits in it overnight, their pippies or mussels, just to give it a little bit of extra. It also comes in a handy spray can.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So you can give it a bit of a spray while you're out there. You've got your pippy or your mussels all up on your towel ready to go.
Because it does come in a little bottle as well, doesn't it?
You can get a solution. Which,
I've always got that on my boat. It's so handy.
It's
too.
handy.
For deodorant.
Okay.
No, they still stinks.
Yeah. So, and what are you using it for, Cal? What most popular species you use it on, and what do you use it?
I'll use it for a range of everything too. Like, as I said, I'll use it for my whiting and stuff like that. But I'll also use it when I'm soft plastic fishing for flathead, brim, whatnot. It's just an added attractant. It's fantastic.
So you put it on your baits?
I'll put it on my baits. I'll put it on lures. I'll use it for everything. Squid jigs even. Yeah.
Have you used it as deodorant before?
No.
All right, number two.
Number two is almost a refined version of what we just looked at, specifically for calamari.
Yep.
I wish I knew what was in it,
How
because
does
it's all got Japanese writing all over it.
Hey, Trelly will be able to read that next week.
Exactly. We'll ask him. This would be, I honestly reckon this would be our number one selling scent.
Yeah.
Across any of the ranges that we look at, I reckon there's going to be a new number one. I'll get to that shortly.
I'd love to know what makes that a calamari scent versus a Stimulate.
Exactly. That's why I wish I could read what was on the can.
Yeah.
Well, I reckon it's more to do with colour too. I reckon there'd be a UV sort of.
Yeah, well, because there is a glow version of this too.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near as popular as
this. But you often
this.
find, and probably that's the only one that I've ever used, if the squid are finicky, and oftentimes you've got your squid jig in the water, crystal clear water, and there's 4 or 5 squid just hanging around having a good old look, you put that on and it changes your fishing for the day.
Yeah, well, see, I think this is where it's really important to understand what these are actually designed for. You wouldn't start the day spraying all your stuff with. No. You use it when it's tough. It's not going to go from a 0 fish day to a 40 fish day.
Yeah.
But it could round out a bag if you've got 6 or 7 fish in a bag of 10, and you just got to. You can put that on, get you over the line. It might result in 1 or 2 fish, and it could have been a 0 fish day. So you use them sparingly.
Yep.
The next one is probably the most outrageously smelling one we've got on the market.
Kramer's lipstick.
I was going to say lip balm. Works well with the girls.
I'll tell you what, I won't leave this stuff lying around my 5-year-old daughter, because she will think it's lip gloss.
So Dizzy Scent, it's fairly new on the market, and it's you had a bit of a relaunch in recent times.
Yeah, that's right. And I think with this one it's important. Google Dizzy Scent, because there is, each flavour, I guess you'd call it, is designed for a specific species of fish. What I really like about this stuff is they've made it really easy to sample everything. You can buy a tube of each flavour. There's garlic, there's something with UV in it, there's UV Ghost, which...
That Ghost, is that the garlic?
No, the green one.
The green one's the garlic.
And I can smell it already without taking the cap off.
It stinks.
It's pretty
I
full.
put it on one of the boys' sunglasses nose piece at work, and it wasn't pretty.
He'd still be smelling it. But you can buy a little sample jar, which has got...
Which allows you to do a bit of a test on what works, what doesn't work for whatever style fishing you're doing.
Like I said, jump on the Google Dizzy Scent, have a look, because they are designed for specific things. So it's worth having a look at there.
I'm not sure which one he uses, but Trevor Holmes, our good friend from down at Toolondo, swears by it on the trout. And if the trout
this
are a
what
bit
prompted
finicky,
us to look at it. It was Trevor. homes from Toolondo saying, you got to get on this stuff.
It changes.
It really works.
It changes the day's fishing for him. So
bad pizza.
No, but he seriously swears by it and says that if the trout are finicky and they're not biting, he just whacks it on a lure or two, and it just makes a difference. So yeah.
I mentioned just before when we were talking about Egimax that there'll be a new #1 selling scent on the market.
Yep.
It's here. S Factor in a tube.
Yeah.
Anyone familiar with squidgy soft plastics has been complaining for years on end, saying they're just buying a new packet of plastics when they run out of scent. It now comes in a tube on its own. It also has a UV additive built into it too. So, I mean, UV being one probably the biggest crazes in fishing over the last few years. It's incorporated into squid jigs, trolling lures, trolling skirts. It's now in the scent as well. A little is a lot with all this stuff. That's a pretty big tube. I'm surprised it came in a tube that big. I thought it was going to be a little bit smaller. But with all of these scents, a little is more than enough. Just on your soft plastics, focus on the tail. If you're spraying your baits, let them soak it up for a little bit, because they will. But don't be afraid to use it, because it can change the course of the day. It could go from a 0 fish day to a 3 fish day, and it's no longer a waste of time.
That's great stuff. I've had people coming in and buying three or 4 of them.
Oh, it's been
since we've had it about a week.
Exactly.
And it's just gone nuts.
It hasn't been on the market long. That will be the new #1, I guarantee it.
Cal, did I hear you before the show saying that it smells like peanut butter?
It does.
Have you considered having it on toast for breakfast in the morning?
Not quite.
No, I've got a few questions, because people at home might want to know who this young gun Cal is, and I've just got some questions about your personal life that I'm going to ask you throughout the show. So just wanted to check if you had S Factor on your toast in the morning.
But I know of people who eat it on barbecue shapes, which is each to their own.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Near the garlic one.
The garlic one.
Aren't you talking about S Factor?
Yeah, S Factor, yes.
Oh, dear.
Don't know about that.
All right, let's have a look at a couple of fish. We talked about earlier on Greg Duncan, who, for those of you that don't know, Greg is the father of Christy Worsling, Paul's father-in-law, and great bloke, loves his whiting fishing, and has always wanted to crack that 1 kilo mark. And Greg took a special trip for his birthday in recent weeks, and I think we've got a photo of Greg with his fish. It's let me have a look, 54 centimetres and 1.2 kilos.
It's a stonking whiting.
I can't give away the spot.
That's a stonking whiting.
Greg, that is a good whiting. Greg told me it was somewhere north of Hobart and between Flinders Island and King Island. And he said, don't give away the spot.
That narrows it down.
But he's going to kill me, because I'm going to give it Bernie.
Bernie.
Yep, off Bernie. This is the fun, and let's have a discussion on this. There's a few species that a lot of Tasmanians or Taswegians, I don't know, what do you call them? Tasmanian? Whatever you want to call them.
Weirdos?
No, you can't say that.
What?
You can't say
Cal?
that.
You're the new guy.
No, I don't like my cousin like that.
They're inexperienced at a few species, and King George whiting is something that they haven't had a lot of experience with. So he's fishing with these guys. Now, Paul did an episode of iFish in December, just before Christmas, and said, wow, I've never seen fish like this, going a couple of 100 metres from a boat ramp into little weed patches and just some unbelievable King George whiting fishing, unlike what you do in Victoria and very much like you do on, say, Kangaroo Island or South Australia. So Greg's gone over the same guys, and he said just their old-fashioned ways or their rigs, a simple thing he said to me on the phone today, they don't use a cocktail bait. And I reckon 90% of people use maybe a third or a half a pippy and a bit of squid to hold it on. So they just don't do that sort of stuff.
They're probably fishing full pilchards for whiting. That's
probably, But isn't it funny though? I mean, and Tasmania, I don't know if you've ever fished there. I mean, I did a 19-day trip once, right around Tasmania, fishing all different things, and it's an untapped place. I mean, it's like going to a country town where no one lives. I mean, a lot of the places are deserted,
and they either have no idea what sort of fishery they're sitting on. It's known for its freshwater fishing, and in more recent times, it's big bluefin out of Eaglehawk Neck.
Yep.
It's got an unbelievable fishery for everything.
Salmon,
gummy sharks, brim, flathead. It's crazy. They're either have got no idea what they're sitting on, or they're a lot smarter than what we give them credit for. Because it's all these things are slowly starting to come out, and that is a world-class whiting fishery.
Absolutely,
world-class. And it's a great story because they haven't been corrupted by all these new ways of how to catch them.
No, that's right.
It shows you how much we can overcomplicate things.
So anyway,
that's huge.
Moral of the story, congratulations, Greg. Well done, a cracker fish, and
happy
well
birthday,
deserved.
Greg.
Yeah,
yes.
I don't know when his birthday was, probably in the last couple of weeks or something, but fantastic and a great fish. Let's move on. Toolondo, I know we had someone write to us last week saying stop banging on about Toolondo, but I've just got to congratulate the state government because they delivered on another election promise yesterday, and that was to set up the recreational fishing, I think, advisory group or reference group on Toolondo to put freshwater fishing at the forefront of water discussions for the water flow into Toolondo from Rocklands Reservoir. And I know a few of the boys that were attending that meeting, I won't go into names and who, but they went out with Jeff Stock and Trevor Holmes and had a lovely fish, I think it must have been Sunday afternoon because the meeting was yesterday. And have we had the photo? I don't know if we've had the photo of Jeff's. There you go. Beautiful brown in very warm conditions down there too. So they're pretty lucky because, I mean, the trout are sitting pretty low at the moment. But I know someone else caught that, and apparently after that they ate a couple of trout, and they actually had, they'll laugh at this because the boys know exactly what I'm talking about. They had a pre-reference group meeting that went into the wee hours of the night, I'm told. Let's just leave it at that.
They can't remember catching the brown trout.
I don't think they do. But anyway,
I don't think they remember the next day either.
So well done though, because I mean, we drove a lot of it on this show about Toolondo and getting the water in there, and the only promise the government made was to set up the reference group, and they did it. So, boys, it's not the only place though. Good trout coming from a few places now. Like, I think the 40-degree days are probably, or they're gone.
Yeah.
You might crack a 30 this time of year, but most of the days we're going to see in the, low to mid-20s. And I think yesterday I jumped in the car and it was 9 degrees in the morning.
Yeah, I reckon you've definitely felt the mornings are a bit crisp. You get out and the car's got a bit of
I love it.
condensation and that on it. It feels like fishing.
It does.
I reckon.
Yeah. Certainly those colder mornings are going to bring those freshwater lakes down a little bit in temperature. There's just no, heat keeping the surface warm and mixing with the, the underflow sort of thing. So the trout fishing is only going to get better. And I know I said to Trevor that, I wouldn't mind coming for a trip down in May. Really the water temperatures will have gone quite colder then, and the trout become a lot more active. A little bit of rain sort of, you'd hope in sort of late autumn. And that will just bring, the fish on. Some of those grassy banks will get a lot more water over them, a lot more food source and that sort of stuff. So not only Toolondo, but a lot of lakes will start getting some great trout bites, in the next couple of months. So
the rivers are fishing well too, I think. So
Dylan from work, where'd he fish?
I think he fished the Goulburn, so he got a pretty nice rainbow. Yeah, it was about 6 or 7 pounds, so great fish.
And a beautiful looking fish too.
Oh, love the colours on them.
Great looking.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Good time of year, particularly if you're out in the fly fish. This is the time.
Definitely.
So Up next, fisheries news and plenty more to talk about on Talking Fishing.
Talking fishing. Talking fishing, talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing.
And now it's time for the news, the fisheries news. Sounds a bit fishy to me.
And welcome back to Talking Fishing. A little bit of fisheries news, boys, this week. Let's kick it off with a nice little science story. Fish tracking to keep bream healthy in the Gippsland rivers. Who is it? The Department of Environment, Land, Water and Plant. They keep changing their names. Who would you know? You wouldn't know what the name of the departments are, but the Arthur Rylah Institute in particular, research scientist Jared Lyons said the bream are being caught, tagged, released and tracked to discover how they will respond to environmental water releases in the lower Latrobe River. The bream are surgically implanted. I know we had a bit of a highlight there. The bream are surgically implanted with acoustic transmitters or tags. Each tag transmits a unique signal so we can identify individual fish as they swim past receivers strategically located in the Gippsland rivers. Local angler and president of the Sale Fly Fishing Club, Peter Murray, says he's excited because the whole club is part of the project. Isn't that good that those guys are involved in the whole club? They're obviously going out and catching the big bream. And later on he goes to say the tracking project will allow us to measure the effects the environmental water releases have on the bream's breeding cycles, which will help to determine strategies to bolster bream stocks. So obviously, you hear of a whole lot of, I guess these days, environmental flows led into rivers, and well, I guess the controversial one was Rocklands Reservoir. I don't mean to bang on. Sorry, that guy that wrote to us about Toolondo, but
you'll get another letter.
But a lot of the it was the Hopkins system that it was going into, I think. But out of Rocklands Reservoir, a lot of water for environmental flows. Now, how do fish respond to that? Because they're not natural flows.
No, yeah, exactly.
They call them an environmental flow because they want to flush it, keep everything flowing and as natural as possible. But it's not natural. So I guess this is a really good thing for Gippsland bream to just say, how do they respond to those environmental flows? How they let out the water and all that sort of stuff. So. Pretty good little project, I reckon.
It's always good to hear that stuff too, because I mean, one of the criticisms you always hear is where is all of our licence money and bits and pieces going?
Yeah, well, at least I think this is being funded by Victorian Environmental Water Holder and the West Gippsland CMA, so I'm not sure there's any licence money going into it.
But at least any decisions being made are scientifically backed.
Yeah.
So it's all, before they can just go and make something up and put in new rules and regulations, they're going to see what's going on first.
And there's a bit of fish consideration with these environmental flows, which is great. We're going to start a segment called Idiot of the Week or something.
Yeah. Do you want to be first, Cal?
No, this next one is a cracker. Fisherman fined for tangled web of fibs. A 58-year-old stallman caught fishing without a licence at Peterborough last year has pleaded guilty to multiple offences, including possession of unauthorised commercial fishing equipment. So he didn't have a licence. He's been put on a good behaviour bond, by the way, for 12 months and had to pay $1,500. The court heard the man had 3 seine nets, 1 cast net, 10 yabby pots, which are opera house nets, and 5 mesh nets up to 75 metres. Now, I actually thought that was the stall gift that they've got up there on the screen right there, but 75 metres long, all of which are classified as commercial fishing equipment. And I think he said he wasn't going to do anything with them, even though he didn't have a recreational fishing licence. And what he did was illegally backdate his own licence, falsely.
And I was just having, did he also knock off a couple of marine sanctuary signs?
I read that.
Just so if they caught him saying you're in a marine sanctuary, you go, no signs.
It says here, at the property, the officers noticed 2 marine sanctuary signs taken from Parks Victoria in the Otways. Maybe he wanted a marine park in his backyard or something. Anyway, that is.
It's got
Next time I get caught speed, I'm just going to take away the speed sign.
It's got no
Idiot
good
of the
all
week.
over it, that one.
Oh, I tell you what. Just a reminder, anyone with information relating to the possession or use of illegal fishing equipment should contact the offence reporting line, which is 13FISH or 133474.
There you go.
We've run quite a few stories on the 13FISH line because, look, I reckon 3-4 years ago, people were saying it was no good. You got a call centre. You had no confidence they were going to ring fisheries. A lot of the time, people didn't turn up to as in people. A lot of the time, fisheries didn't turn up to whatever was reported, and fisheries had this thing about, we're just gathering intelligence, a great way, which it is a great way of gathering intelligence. But I think the response to it is certainly
and when you see this as well, if you're going to do the wrong thing, you risk getting caught and you risk getting shamed on this show.
Exactly, Now, boys, I want to talk about something I mentioned earlier on, the water temperature in Port Phillip Bay. And I think we've got a couple of graphs that we're going to show up here in a minute. But I went for a swim on the weekend and I didn't think it was as warm as perhaps in previous years. And you just look at the graphs there. For those of you at home, you can see the water temperature last year in that January, February, March period got up to 23 degrees. In fact, there was a bit of a spike, and you don't know, when you see a spike like that, it could be some false readings, except that it's from all 4 of the temperature points. But a really good 23 degrees. This year, it's just touched 22, and then it's on its way down. And now there's still a chance that we might get a little bit more water temp into the bay, it could come still, but more than likely I think we'll start seeing it decrease. So 1 degree, you might say, well, who cares, 22 to 23.
Makes a huge difference.
1 degree is a lot in fish world.
Yep,
definitely.
Can make all the difference,
Yeah, so we haven't quite peaked as warm as previous years. Don't know why.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Global cooling.
Well, it's weird though, because the species we've seen turn up in Victoria, which we haven't seen for a while, marlin and kingfish, are associated with warm water. It's an interesting thing, but we had such a poor snapper season, which is also associated with warm water. That it makes the case right there. We didn't get the temperatures that we needed, and our fishery was a little bit slow.
Now, it's also something to do with the big snapper that we saw earlier on. We'll talk about that in a few minutes, because the snapper do like it a little bit cooler. They don't like it real hot, and they sort of go down deep and want to hide. But it could be the reason why we're seeing some really good snap around at the moment. So, but up next, Kramer's mailbag and all the results from the Westerport Angling Club Whiting Challenge. See you after this.
Talking fishing. Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing.
And now it's time for Kramer's Mailbag, brought to you by Southeastern Speedliner.
And plenty of Kramer's mailbag this week, boys. I tell you what, try and get through all these because there is quite a few this week. Let's kick it off. Hi guys, love your show. I went fishing just before Christmas with a mate on the Murray at Echuca. We had a bet. Biggest fish won a slab of VB. By the way, this is from Peter Kennedy at Werribee. I think we've actually got a picture of the fish that he's about to talk about. Fished in a 3.7 metre tinny and was using cheese for the first time. Good old Woolies homemade tasty. And within half an hour of fishing, I pulled in a 75 centimetre Murray cod and of course released it. Caught 3 smaller Murray cod over that weekend. It was the biggest Murray cod we've caught. My mate bought me a slab of VB as soon as we got back to the boat ramp, even though we had another day left. And it looks like, so I don't know whether they drank the slab of VB before they went to the pub, because he sent us a photo of the pub and he's drinking in the pub. Is that before or after the slab of VB? Don't know, but he says, cheers, guys, keep up the good work.
And well done.
It's a cold frothy.
Great fish.
Well done, Pete. Not bad and absolutely worth a slab of VB
yeah, that's
too.
it.
So
Yeah, big fish and a cold slab. Well played.
take that. This one's from Peter Balzen, I think, or Balzen, from West Meadows. Just like to bring something to your attention and get your comment on it. Went to Marlow on the weekend for a Hobie kayak ABT round on the Snowy River, only to arrive on Friday and find the river an orange colour. It was caused by heavy rain a week earlier, washing soil which contained fire retardant into the water. The problem is when the water taken from the top was put into the live wells, the fish had trouble surviving. I know that it's necessary, it's a necessary thing used in putting out bushfires, but has anyone looked at the effects it has on the environment in the long term? You guys ever heard of that?
No.
I've heard of fire retardant. I don't know if it drops out of a plane or whatever.
Not quite. I know on the complete opposite of that. Once we had, remember around Black Saturday or the bushfires, a lot of it was just
ash. And a lot of that took away the oxygen in the water and killed a lot of trout in the rivers.
So it's a tough one.
Yep.
And I tell you what, they timed it to perfection with the brim comp, didn't they? I've spoken to quite a few anglers from that comp, and it was hard work.
Was it?
Yeah, it was hard work.
Yeah. There you go. Another one, Philip Andis, he writes, "Hi Dave, is it true that red fishing line is invisible to fish, hence the theory that reds or snapper are an invisible predator?" Well, I'd have to say that red line is invisible. I've heard that plenty of times.
And it's through light refraction.
Yeah, there's a leader that comes out in red, isn't there?
Yeah, there's pink leaders.
Yeah.
And you see, you sell a hell of a lot of trout line.
Yeah.
That's a dark red or like a dark brown. The snapper question is very, very interesting though.
Yeah, I don't know about
Never heard that one before.
No, I think people would see they'd see a snapper coming. This one's from Darren Hutchinson, an interesting one. "Hi Kramer, love the show. I'm a scuba diver and also a keen fisherman. On Friday, the 20th of February, 2 friends and my dad and I dived the HMAS Canberra off Ocean Grove, and before we got to the dive site, there was about 10 boats, including one fishing charter that was fishing over the wreck. Now, it's my understanding that there is a 200-metre exclusion zone around the wreck for no fishing, and still these fishers ignored that rule, and even us, when we told some of them, they just ignored us. The fact that some of them even ignored our dive flag so much that when we got back to the Queenslift boat ramp, the police had turned up with their boat and my mate went and told them what happened. I'm very disappointed that to catch a fish, it compromises the safety of others who share the water. I love fishing, but I believe the rules are put in place for a reason. I only wish I'd take my camera to get their boat regos and give to the police." So I think that's a message for everyone. That boat, HMAS Canberra, was sunk for diving and for no other reason. And I think, we've had it pretty good, our fishos, to have other artificial reefs, particularly in the bay. I know there's another big one about to go off Torquay somewhere. And fair's fair, it's a diving site, not a fishing site.
Yeah.
I think people just need to keep away.
And hopefully there's a bit of policing going on before something nasty happens. There'll be nothing worse than a diver coming up.
I've got Sergeant Alison Nesbitt on 3AW this Friday night. If you want to tune in 7 o'clock Friday night on 3AW, Paul Worsing and I will be chatting to the Water Police, and I'll actually ask him the question, what are the rules around that? And I'm sure he's just going to say, hey, you're not allowed to go there, but I'm not sure what the penalties are and all that. But something like that, they just need to knock it on the head. I know kingies are kingies and it's good, but just don't spoil it for other users of, and they're in exclusion zone. Next one, g'day guys, thanks for the best fishing show on TV. I live down in the Latrobe Valley on a hill and lucky to get Channel 31. Might be Mick from Morwell. G'day, Mick. But this is from Mal Winterburn. I would just like to tell you about our yearly Malakuta Madness trip. Myself and 11 other blokes fish for 2.5 days every year, 2 per boat. This year, the fishing was unreal. We have points for brim, flathead, EPs, etc. Just a small work comp. This year, we caught a total of 359 flathead, the biggest 66, 52 brim, biggest 43, mostly all released. Most fish in less than a metre of water. Nearly all fish on lures. The guys at Tackle World Morwell had some great info, as one of the guys has been to Malakuta the week before. His info was very helpful, what lures to use, etc. I would recommend Malakuta for a hot spot for sure. There you go.
There you go.
We know Malakuta is on fire, and since they got rid of the nets many years ago now, that place is just a mecca, and I know the new boat ramp is very, very popular. In fact, I was talking to the new, what's it, Bobby and Dolly. What was their names? The old couple. I reckon that's Joe Downey. Bob and Dolly Dyer, they're saying in my ear, because there's a couple of old people sitting in our control room. But I reckon that's Joe Downey and his lovely wife, Sue, I think. Just toddle on down in the Cortina down to Malakuta and have a fish for some brim. Hello, Joe, if you're watching. Next one, dear David. This is from Troy Honan. Love the show, and it's a breath of fresh air for TV fishing shows. I would like to raise my concerns at the poor state of the Phillip Island boat ramps. Spent a few weeks over January at the island and was taken back at the conditions of all 3 ramps, which is Cowes, Rill and Newhaven. Rill will be the main one. The island does not appear to have a true all-weather, all-tide public ramp, which is very surprising, as the island is one of Victoria's top tourist spots. Cowes ramp is affected by swell, limited at low tide, exposure to northerly winds and no tie-up facilities. Newhaven, limited at low tide. You need to be a mountain goat to climb the jetty ladder. You do. And I feel sorry for the old boys. It's just dangerous. And Rill ramp, limited at dead low tide, exposure to east to south east winds, exposure to strong tides, limited tie-up facilities, as the floating jetty is also used by the hire boat company, lucky to be able to put 2 boats at the jetty in summer. So, look, it's a big question that we always want to ask the government about, and I'm going to start a pile, right? Because Fisheries Minister Jarla Pulford wants to come and join us again, just for a bit of an update on a few things.
We can raise that with her.
The Jarla pile.
There you go.
Start a pile, and we should have started weeks ago.
And it is a great question, because a lot of people flock to the island to fish as well as holiday and do all the other things. Interesting one. That's going to be number 1 on the pile. All
right, and one more to go, and I know we're going to go to break very, very shortly, but this one was from 87-year-old Arthur Langtip. Dear David, my late brother and I enjoyed fishing since we were kids at Rutherglen. We moved to Sydney to work when he was in the late 20s and got hooked on... I can't say what they used to call them, but they now call them ludric. He got hooked on ludric fishing. He was always telling me that what great sport ludric fishing was, and warned me that if I could master the art of catching them, it would spoil me for all other types of fishing. We spent many days near Borley Point and Lakes Entrance, and he was right. I now live in Corio, a suburb of Geelong, and would like to know if you could tell me of areas locally where I might catch some ludric before I hang up my rods for good. I will turn 87 in a few weeks. So, good on you, Arthur. Now, I spoke to Michael Moore down at Tackle World in Geelong, and he said the number 1 place for ludric down that area is the Barwon River. They electrofished it only recently, and some of the fish were up to 2 kilos. So
they go hard as
too. So Barwon River is your number 1. Arthur, if you want to tune into 3AW, I know you probably have a wireless or a transistor, as they used to call them. He was 87 years old. You wouldn't even know what. You probably listen to 3AW on your.
I don't really listen to the radio.
No, but Arthur, tune into 3AW. I've got Michael Moore on this Friday night, and we'll talk all about ludric. And there you go.
And just now, before we go, a nice little touch on that letter.
Oh yeah.
Right at the very end. P.S. I don't have email. Great. And number 2, signed, personally signed by Arthur. That's just a little old touch that's been forgotten this day and age.
I tell you what, it gets better. He sent a self-addressed stamped.
Yes.
Daryl Summers used to say, well, a stamped self-addressed envelope.
Yep.
And he sent it to me so I can write back to him.
Arthur, well done, mate, and good luck with the Ludrick fishing.
If you'd like to write to me or these blokes, this is what you do.
Send your mail to Kramer's Mailbag, PO Box 734, Patterson Lakes, Victoria 3197, or email kramer@ifish.com.au.
And coming up this week's Hotspots and what's coming up on C31 Fishing. Be back shortly on Talking Fishing.
Talking fishing. Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing.
Hello, Richie Minnow here. It's now time for this week's Fishing Hotspots on Talking Fishing. Marvellous.
Richie Minnow, you gotta love Richie, don't you? He's got his own Facebook page.
Yeah. He's got more friends than we do.
Yeah. You've got more friends than Kallan.
More Tinder matches too.
Not hard.
Yeah. Boys, Hotspots, and we should just mention very quickly, thank you to our new sponsors of Hotspots, Supercharge or Seamaster Gold batteries. So brilliant batteries. St Leonard's #1. Let's kick it off. Off deep. Now, we saw that big gummy, the 19 kilos off Point Richards. Yep. That area all out off deep. So you actually got to get out of the whiting grounds and all that. When I say St Leonard's, it's off there. But there's some very deep water, big drop off in that. Gummies and also big snapper. Now, we never really got to it, but that water temperature that's going to come down is really going to spark the snapper. You know, they'll have that second run as the water gets into that 19, 18, drops down through 17. That's a really good time for snapper. And I think we'll just see that area hot up for those people on that western side of the bay. Get out deep off St Leonard's.
Very similar to Western Port too.
Yeah.
Very similar to Western Port,
No, absolutely. #2, Mornington. Some really good calamari coming from Mornington. I know we saw Callan's ex-girlfriend on the screen earlier on, a big cuttlefish. Cuttlefish are beautiful to eat. If you ever get one, don't throw them back. So many people say, I've got a cuttlefish, I was spewing. They taste 10 times better than calamari. So get to Mornington, some of those areas along the reefy areas along Mornington, fantastic calamari fishing at the moment. #3, Sandringham. Been up there?
I have. I used to fish there quite a bit when I was a kid. Are they
I think anywhere, Sandringham, Black Rock, even heading up towards Elwood, right up that way. There's some nice reefs along there. King George whiting at the moment.
Yeah, and you'll catch them off the breakwall too.
Yeah.
Half Moon Bay is another one. And even land-based fishers are doing really well there too.
Yeah, late in the afternoon would probably be the key for land-based. Those fish just come in and feed. And, again, I go down the peninsula a lot, and not many people pump bass yabbies, but there's amazing food source right around the outskirts of our bay.
That was our #1 brim bait when we sit at Sandringham. It was all, if we couldn't get bass yabbies, it was nothing.
They're dynamite. Yeah. People should be doing it more often. Anyway, that's the way it is. Let's head over to Western Port, Coronella, and Cal, I think you've spent a bit of time out of Coronella.
Calamari.
It's a mix of calamari and Coronella. But this time of year, out of Coronella, the Elephant Triangle, the elephants are on. I know we had a show, we had a picture on the show last week, but elephants are on if people wanted to go and do something different just to mix it up. It's not a bad time of year to get out there on the elephants with the kids, or take your mother-in-law if you don't like her or something like that. Go and have an elephant fish.
Like gear, they can actually be okay for the first trip.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Have you done that, Cal?
Yeah. And people reckon they're not bad eating too if you cook them right. I think is it the females that you got to?
No idea. I know there's a lot of prepreration.
There is a lot of preparation, but
moisture out of the meat, but that's all right.
I ate it once, never said I'd do it again.
Good cat food, man.
#5, hotspot, Balnarring over in Western Port, or just outside of the entrance. They're some absolute cracker. King George whiting at the moment there.
We've spoken about it in previous shows. It's big fish water.
If you were trying to target a big one off there, what depth would you say?
It's all relatively flat. So you're all probably 3 to 6 metres. I reckon, I still think one of the big stonking whiting is going to come from the deeper water. So that's 5-6 metres.
But certainly a good area. And #6, just to finish off hotspots, Lawn Pier. Absolutely on fire at the moment, and good luck getting down there. It's just, you can't get accommodation down there at the moment. It is just an absolute hot spot for accommodation, tourists, all that sort of stuff. Beautiful time of year to do it, but some good trevally and salmon coming from the pier.
And that pier fishes pretty consistently year round, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And late in the afternoon is the best time, definitely for lawn pier. Just as dusk, you might even get some whiting at times. But calamari, just look for the black ink stains on the deck. It's all pretty good. Let's move on, boys. That's the hotspots. And don't forget, if you want to see all the hotspots, they'll be up on our Facebook page tomorrow. Or tell your mates to watch, because we're repeated on Thursday mornings and Saturday mornings from now on. You can watch the show twice again after tonight. So anyway, coming up on C31, here it is. Tonight, after us, Catch and Cook, and 10 o'clock Savage Seas Adventures. Wednesday morning, which is tomorrow morning, Liquid Vision. Thursday morning, you have 6:30 for AFN, and then us at 7 o'clock, right through till 8 o'clock, the 1 hour show repeated. And then Friday, a couple of shows there in the morning. Saturday morning, we kick off the extravaganza, 9 o'clock in the morning. If you're just having a lazy sleep in on a Saturday morning, get up and watch Talking Fishing. Again, tell your mates, or if you miss it next week, you can watch it on Thursday morning or Saturday morning, and there they are, all listed for you there, all the shows that come up Saturday and then Saturday night as well. So very, very kind of C31 to start repeating our shows. I know a lot of people have been asking for it and saying, if we miss the show or we forget about it, how do we watch it? And yes, it's on Catch Up TV on the C31 website, but on the on Channel 31, Thursday mornings Saturday mornings. Boys, we've been pumping the Western Port Whiting Challenge. I've got all the results in front of me here, and it was a great turnout. All the stats there.
How good is old mate in the winner?
Old mate?
He is a legend.
I think I know him from somewhere. Anyway, apparently that's the only photo they have of the winner of the Whiting Challenge. So, and boys, look, my eyes are shot, I tell you. I've got new glasses and I'm struggling, but I think there was 349 competitors, 1,680 fish caught, and the heaviest fish for the Whiting Challenge, Robert Buggager, I think his name is, 0.966, and there's a fantastic photo of him on the screen right there, and of the fish. Second heaviest, Colin Party with 0.766, so exactly 200 grams from first to second, exactly 0.766 to 0.966. Third heaviest fish, Sam Rowe on 0.762, and the heaviest fish by a female, Marion Crawlis with 0.708. 1,600 odd fish is pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
You just got to say that banding netting in Western Port had a lot to do with that many years ago, and that place is just on fire, isn't it?
Yep, and it's been consistent, really, ever since. Even with a poor whiting season, there's still plenty of fish caught. They're nudging a kilo. We'll see kilo fish there soon.
Yeah, a lot of good quality fish coming out lately too. A lot of people fishing deeper as well. So,
I was speaking to one of the organisers, old Don Newman, who celebrated his 93rd birthday.
Happy birthday, Don.
Happy birthday, Don. He gets birthday wishes every week after the show. But good old Don, he said, fantastic. He was really rapt, and next year they're going to get a professional photographer in to photograph the winner.
And might get a hairstylist in as well.
The only hiccup I think they had. But anyway, that's all good. Boys, if I was to ask you one question, can you name 5 places there where you would go land-based fishing for King George whiting? Can you name 5 places?
There's quite a few on the peninsula.
Yep.
We gave away one in Catch of the Week. Portsea Pier.
Portsea Pier would have to be a very good one.
Yep. Safety Beach, off the beach there. Fisherman's Beach, we get quite a few reports from there. Where everyone thinks you catch gummies.
So when you say Safety Beach, you talk about Anthony's Nose?
Yes, Anthony's
so
Nose.
near that little Dramana boat ramp,
there's
which has always got sand on, you can't use it.
And you can almost fish out the back of your car.
Put that in the jar pile. Anthony's Nose, and then do something about it.
You can fish out the back of your car there, so that's a great spot. Over on the Western Port side, the beaches known as the Gummy Beaches, Summers, Balnarring, they get some of the biggest whiting. Merricks, they get some of the biggest land-based whiting you'll see. Flinders Pier, you'll get them. Stony Point, Hastings sometimes.
Jetty even. I know because I live down there, so I know a few locals, and they'll get down there on a high tide, and they get quite a few nice fish.
Yeah, I don't know. On the peninsula especially, it seems to be a dusk thing. Yeah. Dusk into that first hour of dark.
So the fish
come in shallow.
Yes, come into the shallow water, looking for those bass yabbies and some of those sort of things. So it is, look, land-based whiting. People should be doing it. It's not just a boaties thing. I know the Western Port Angling Club do a great comp, but for those people that want to enjoy a little bit of land-based fishing, whiting is fantastic. Guys, that's it for Talking Fishing. Hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks to Kallan for filling in for Trelly. Trelly will be back next week talking Chinese. Don't forget, the show is repeated now on Thursday and Saturday mornings. Tell your friends. Until next Tuesday evening, stay safe on the water and enjoy your fishing.
We got all you need, just take a look. Watch those fish jump on your hook. So just relax and take your time. Enjoy the show, then drop us a line. Talking fishing, nothing but fishing. We're talking fishing. Talking fishing, nothing but fishing. We're talking fishing. Talking fishing.